This is Funko Fusion, a video game that I can only describe as an identity crisis. Surely most Americans know what a Funko Pop is. Those weirdly proportioned vinyl figures with their big beady eyes coming in a variety of flavors, so massive there's a non-zero chance you have one. You like Sonic the Hedgehog? We got a pop. Baldur's Gate 3? Yup. Metaphor Refantasio, Ranma 1/2, Squid Game, BTS, Twisted Metal, your local sports team. There's single pops and even full scenes like Cowboy Bebop. Remember that really good moment from the show? How about now? If it has any sort of cultural relevance at all, it's probably got a Funko Pop. Dead or alive, maybe in a landfill. Welcome to Vinyl IP Soup, maximum nostalgia capitalism aimed at 20 to 99-year-olds that probably found a way into your home via your own means or a family member's quick $15 gift from Target. In 2025, Funkos have become this massive global thing with Pops being produced for any and everything, which of course means it's got a movie in production at Warner Animation. About what? I'm not sure, but that was also my thought when I saw the first trailer for 2024's video game, Funko Fusion. From that trailer, it actually looked okay. It's giving Lego vibes, which is not a terrible place to be, as long as it's not the Switch version.
Say hello to Jaws? Wait, He-Man? Marty McFly? Jurassic World? Battlestar Galactica? They're certainly not toying around.
Not so terrible, until you see the review scores. So nearly a year after release, a delayed online co-op despite being advertised on the box, and a whole bunch of random DLC packs including Team Fortress 2 and Manchester City football players, it's time to take a look the long way. Is Funko Fusion any good? Probably not, but let's find out. So yo, it's Austin, and today we're gonna do what any normal, sane person would do. We're beating Funko Fusion 100% and the DLC, so you don't have to. I decided to wait a while to see what they were putting out content-wise, and now that I see it's basically character packs, I decided now's the perfect time. But why? Well, I guess it's because I like Scott Pilgrim and The Thing just enough. We've got a lot of vinyl to blow up today, but before we get started, I think you can do better. This video has been sponsored by Boot.dev. Haven't heard of Boot.dev? Well, it's simple. What if we took the process of learning back-end development and made it fun? The idea of sitting down to really grind out and learn a skill can be difficult, especially for something like coding. Boot.dev uses modern game design elements to help students achieve their goals. And it's real simple to get started. You make an account, you pick one of several courses, and get to typing. The classes and tutorials are set up in a way to gamify the process of learning coding skills that are applicable in Python, SQL, and Go, all while you complete quests. That grind helps you climb up leaderboards, which means you're actively using the skills. And you know, repeating yourself is easily the best way to learn these things. And it's not a bad skill to have considering the median salary for backend developer on Stack Overflow is over 100K. Recently, I've been wanting to expand my skill set, so I've been doing some of it myself. Thankfully, anytime you get stuck, there's a personal AI tutor, Boots, a bear wizard, who will do his best to help nudge you on the right track. All the content's free to read and watch in guest mode if you don't have the means to pay for it too. But for those who want to get a little more hands-on with their mechanics, you can click the link in the description and use the code AustinEruption to get 25% off your first year on an annual plan. Boot.dev's a great tool for aspiring programmers. Check them out today. Thanks to Boot.dev for the sponsor, but for now, it's time for the main event. 100% Funko Fusion. Let's do it. Normally with these types of videos, there's a lot of trailers and history to sort through prior to its release, but not as much with Funko Fusion. This was developed by a British studio called 1010 Games, which was spearheaded by a few ex-Traveler's Tales developers, mostly known for their Lego games. Also Sonic 3D Blast and Toy Story 2, can't forget those. Founded in 2021, 1010 Games would build their staff with a focus on third-party IPs, a very similar strategy to Travelers. I originally thought that this game came out of nowhere, but actually in July of 2022 at San Diego Comic-Con, they put out a press with Funko stating that Funko would be entering the multi-billion-dollar video game market with 1010, specifically for AAA video games. Yep, AAA. Also, this is Freddy Funko, the Funko mascot, a character one of my editors cannot stand looking at. The title was slated for 2023, which of course did not happen. A few months later, they dropped a teaser trailer from the creators of Brick-Based Mayhem, if you were stepping on what painful pieces of plastic they were dropping. There were announcements of some IP collaborations like Jurassic World, Umbrella Academy, Shaun of the Dead, The Thing, and Battlestar Galactica. An odd and not necessarily kid-friendly selection. I don't know if many kiddos are pining to save the world from Cylons, but hey, I guess Funkos are about nostalgia. Then radio silence for an entire year before a re-reveal trailer in 2024. This time with the story and some Inception booms. For what it's worth, the trailers have decent production. It shows off the evil Funko Pop guy, and what we're all really waiting for, the amalgamation of franchises it'll be housing. We got Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Masters of the Universe, The Mummy, Back to the Future, Jaws, Hot Fuzz? That one Jordan Peele film? Nope. A bizarre collection, but one that makes a little more sense when you realize the entire game was a partnership with NBC Universal, meaning most of their IPs were owned by them. Not really sure how Mega Man falls into this, but more on him later. Really, what we have here is a video game made by industry veterans about Funko Pops. But Funko Pops aren't really anything but references to other things, meaning the entirety of this game was going to be micro versions of each of those properties, all slapped together into a single package. You know, without the charm of Lego. The official artwork for the game lets you know exactly what it is, too. You can see what it looks like, Evil Freddy, and then a character from each of the represented franchises on the cover. Though I wouldn't blame you if you couldn't tell who some of these characters were, considering Pops kind of homogenized them. Also, yes, that's Freddy Fazbear. So here's what we got. A video game by the Lego people, a series made for families and kids, a fire sale of franchises Universal was willing to lend out, all represented on the sides of the box with logos everywhere. It's actually holographic on the physical, by the way. Like, they put extra money into the physical copy. But most everything on here was originally released between the 70s and 2000s, with the exception of like Five Nights, Nope, and Mithrigan. All of this begs the question, and probably something I'm gonna ask over and over, who is this for? Like, actually, this mishmash of IPs is so random that anytime I was playing this with some friends watching, there was always confusion as to why a certain thing was there. Keep in mind the violence montage from the beginning, the T rating on the box, and this is the burning question I'm sure we'll come back to time and time again. Now, shoot forward to September 4th, 9 days before the official release. 1010 Games releases a developer update in which they reveal that online co-op, an advertised feature that was on the back of the box, was going to be delayed, with a roadmap showing the release dates for individual levels becoming playable. This is wild and also inaccurate, as the first half didn't come out until late November, with the final batch hitting playability in February. Funko Fusion comes out in September 2024, reviews poorly, is largely ignored, and despite that, the dev kept chugging away at it. The second developer update went from excitement for the release to, we are sorry the game wasn't up to the player standards and are working on it. But to be fair, they were listening, kept changing quality of life things, making it run smoother, and even added a cameo pack for the office. However, it wasn't enough. 1010 Games goes through layoffs in February of 2025. Fusion is labeled a complete commercial and critical failure by anonymous sources from the developer. To this day, they're still releasing new DLC packs, albeit just characters, and by all means it looks like that's everything substantial that's going to be coming out of Funko Fusion, meaning it's time to see all that it has to offer. Every collectible, every trophy, not every level in co-op though, because there's no way I can get a second person to do all of this. Let's play some Funko Fusion. What exactly are we doing? Well, for starters, we're making a new sentence. Before we get into the meat of it, let's talk about the narrative of Funko Fusion. I hope you're not expecting much. What? At the end of the day, it's just another one of those wacky crossover games where things congregate into a single world just because. You start by picking a character with the message, everyone is a fan of something on the top of the screen. I went with Scott Pilgrim for starters because, I mean, yeah, and off we go. After scrolling through the terms of service, of course, no words, no intro cinematic, just instantly into the action with the objective of find out what's going on. You run upstairs and Foxo Funko teaches you some of the basic controls and mechanics with molding to create interactive objects. We meet up with the legend himself, Freddy Funko, before his evil twin cousin, Shadow Eddie, pops out of the sewer all gored up, and yeah, immediately we've got Babby's first Akira body horror. Eddie and Freddy fight, Ed steals the power crown, Fred's skin melts off, and it's up to us to stop Eddie from corrupting all of the Wonder Worlds. And that's essentially going into various Universal franchises to stop Mephiles the Funkhog from destroying the multiverse. And I do mean Mephiles.
Life is pain. It is chaos and rage, fear and abandonment.
This dude monologues about pain and suffering and the meaning of life, and if it sounds familiar, it's because it's Clancy Brown, who is Mr. Krabs and Lex Luthor. He's basically like the embodiment of all of Freddy Funko's fear and misery after losing Granny Funko, bottled up into a little discarded vinyl container that sludges around the lower sectors of the Wonderworks factory.
Undecided on what it wants to be. Factory or landfill.
Oh my god, Eddie Funko and his $30 million army? And well, that's our setup. Ed's gotta take revenge for existing and thinking Freddy's a soft baby. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, it's a crossover plot. This is where the fun begins. That's not me saying that, by the way, that's the game. It's the first trophy, everyone. Now it's off to the Scott Pilgrim world. Anytime you boot up one of these worlds, you're thrown into a cutscene that shows Eddie coming in and making things worse than they usually are, usually with a bit of that SpongeBob roller coaster violence. Remember when Gideon Graves got soul sucked through the neck before exploding? Yeah, me either, but the cutscenes depicting the setup for each of the franchises is usually decent enough. Just, you know, with Funko Pops, so you either think it's cute or an abomination. No voice acting, by the way, just your standard array of Shaw? Turns out we're doing old school Lego and not new.
Did you get those doors to the command center fixed, Tony?
Yeah. Of course.
I think the premise for what they wanted to do here is solid enough. Each world consists of 5 levels that usually go through that franchise's plot. For Scott Pilgrim, you're fighting all of the evil exes, starting with Matthew Patel during the Sex Bomb concert. Though I don't think Kim's doing a very good job of playing her drums. You'll be seeing a whole lot of this. The formula is very similar to the Lego games. You have a set goal for each stage alongside a bunch of collectibles, in this case the silver and golden crowns. But also don't forget about the myriad of other things to snag. We've got amber fossils for John Hammond in Jurassic World. We've got Foxo parts that we can put together to rebuild him after Eddie tore his ass up. There's a hidden Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket in every single level, as well as proto parts for unlocking new sodas and weapons to build from the mold machines. Then we've got level cameos like Mega Man and Xena, which we'll get into later, and finally entire cameo stages which serve as a secret ending to whatever level you're on. Just make sure to finish the stage normally first, otherwise you'll need to replay it. Not like that matters anyway, considering you'll need to unlock cameos in their original level in order to find them in other stages, meaning if you were planning to one and done every level, think again. Maybe look that up before playing 10 to 15 hours. This all sounds fine and dandy and relatively Lego-like, which a lot of people can dig until you play the dang thing. You've got a melee attack, a third-person shooter ranged attack, as well as consumable weapons and items. However, most of the time you'll be playing a game of what can I actually hit the enemy with, as a lot of dudes are not targetable by certain hits. The X marks the disappointment, meaning you'll be doing a whole lot of this. Yep. Now, do it again while using a puzzle piece to float over there, get knocked off the ledge because it's gotta happen twice, and now you're playing Funko Fusion. If I had one word to describe Funko Fusion's gameplay loop, it's tedious. Every single goal requires that you run around back and forth trying to figure out how to advance to the next area, and it usually involves you needing to run back to a blueprint machine, mold whatever the world's unlockable item is, and use that to progress. Scott Pilgrim uses a lot of amps. You need an amp-able character to use it. Tenor will shatter glass, bass will create a sound wave that'll carry you across gaps. Jurassic World gets you access to a chargeable battery in order to operate machinery or open doors. He-Man gives you a portal, which is a mechanic I thought was well done actually. You place this thing around levels and connect them to other ones in the environment in order to, well, do the portal thing. The Thing gives you flame canisters that will melt ice or power flame puzzles. Battlestar Galactica gives you a sentry turret which opens doors. Umbrella Academy gives you a record player that's used to cheer people up and make them do stuff, and Hot Fuzz has a camera which will allow you to solve puzzles in the environment. And by puzzles I mean you aim it at stuff, fill up a meter, and get an item. Altogether, that's a lot, but since they're only unlocked when you do the first stage of each world, anything hidden in earlier zones will have to be snagged on a second or third playthrough. And this also means you'll be spending a lot of time running around smacking walls looking for things and challenges, some of which are really obfuscated and extremely annoying. You can kind of see where this is going, so let's move on to the worlds. The franchises and the worlds are, at least in my opinion, opinion, the entire appeal of Funko Fusion. And if you don't care about any of these IPs, then this game's not gonna do anything for you. It's like that Lego Horizon Adventures game. You really gotta be into Horizon. Thankfully, Funko Fusion does have a few things that I like. But let's be real. Is it fun? Frankly, they're a mixed bag. I can totally feel the difference between certain worlds and the passion thrown into its level design. Pilgrim's X boss gauntlet feels small and contained, since there's a fight tied to each area rather than having a big showdown against whatever thing you're fighting. You have to do a series of mini puzzles and small combat segments. You don't just smash Matthew Patel, you gotta smack down the 4 hipster demons to get a key to then unlock his door and proceed to job him out like normal. Stage 1 done. 2 has you immediately in the action with Hollywood hotshot Lucas Lee, who has you shoot or smack at in between phases or puzzles, and sequences that take a little bit of brain power to figure out. And by that I mean taking the world's item and destroying a window. Stage 3, it's time to tackle Todd Ingram and Roxy Richter at the same time. Take your amp, solve the puzzles, gather whatever collectibles you can, and well, I bet you can see where this is all going. At least Roxy resembles a fight, as you have to catch her after a spin attack to increase the stagger meter, where you'll then smack her with melee. There's not a whole lot of depth to this, is there? Stage 4 of Pilgrim is hands down the worst example of this formula. The twins, Ken and Kyle Katayanagi, show off against Sex Bomb, all without any story context from the movie, by the way. You just kind of leave a club with Roxy and go straight into another one for the Battle of the Bands. For this fight, you have to run around while being pelted by projectiles and demons, trying to figure out how to reassemble an amp, all while Threshold from the film's soundtrack is blasting. Sounds good in theory, until it plays over and over and over. Look, the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World soundtrack is incredible, but hearing Threshold 10 times back to back, all while struggling to find collectibles and all these amp pieces, is a surefire way to hate it. Kinda like how you're not supposed to set your phone alarm to a song you like. Kim is still trying her best, by the way, girl. At this point, you can probably guess how this entire game is going to go, be it stretched out beyond all belief like Matthew Patel's level or cramming 2 fights in one. We're gonna be going through basic versions of all of these properties narratives with our big Funko heads slamming into things. Also, yes, we got headshots. Stage 5, Chaos in the Chaos, has us engaging in the final showdown with an edified Gideon Graves who grows 6 times the size and starts shooting laser beams down at us. And here is where we get the main boss mechanics that you will be revisiting over and over. The enemy does a thing, you shoot him a few times to get some purple orbs, rinse repeat until you get 30, and then activate the Funko Wonder Rod and give yourself a fun victory lap against whatever boss has an equally sized friendly Funko beats the crap out of it. Every single time Eddie's beaten to a pulp, is kicked out of whatever thing he possessed, which is still very dead, mind you. And then he's like, I'll get you next time. And there you have it, the entire Funko Fusion gameplay loop. Just add an additional 20 to 40 minutes per level looking for all the crowns and collectibles if you're stubborn and not using a guide. So where do we go from here? Our first world's complete. Scott Pilgrim has been returned to normal until the sequel anime, and we wink ourselves the golden crown and return upstairs to drop it off in the Wonder Factory, restoring a bit of Freddy's humanity, and then watch another bit of Eddie's villain monologues. Seriously, they had like 2.5 minutes of content they snipped into 6 separate cutscenes. Then you head downstairs to unlock another door with any Funko world you'd like to start. This is actually something I dug. The main lobby is this vertical tower where you can float between the levels and you create the order of things as you play, which I thought was a neat touch. Next up, Jurassic World. The stages here are way bigger than the Toronto levels, which makes sense. Again, there's no proper communication for any kind of narrative going on, so a lot of what is happening requires context. Otherwise, it just looks like things are happening, like, hey, dinosaurs are loose, also dudes are shooting at you, shoot back, I guess. Take control of Chris Pratt and friends as you watch plastic dinosaurs murder plastic people with decapitations for all. Look, we're not gonna go into big detail about every single level, because it's pretty easy to figure out how things go. In Jurassic World, you run from and then kill dinosaurs. By kill, I mean put to sleep, because for some reason, they're the only enemies in the entire game that get a little snooze sleepy box when you beat them. That's gotta be like part of the licensing deal with Universal, right? You get to the end of the levels, you eventually fight Eddie and Dominus, get enough goo to summon the Funko T-Rex, and then walk away, another world down.
Charlie, hey, don't give me that shit.
The Masters of the Universe world is interesting. The filters they have over the visuals give it that proper, soft Saturday morning cartoon look. Even some of the backgrounds have that hand-painted visual style. I actually like looking at this. You hop stage to stage fighting Skeletor and his legion of ne'er-do-wells as you transfer into He-Man proper to break golden metal objects. What? It's funny how you're supposed to be this big and powerful dude, but at the end of the day, melee only works when the game tells you that it will. And on some bosses, I do more damage shooting lasers as He-Man than with melee. What's going on here? Sketty gets the beat down, there's another broody montage, and it's off to the world of Umbrella Academy. I'm actually not very familiar with the show or comic. I've heard good things. I've heard Gerard Way is a good writer. Certainly, it's gotta be better than this song looping for 20 minutes. Take control of number 5 in the gang as you... Actually, I have no idea. Considering I haven't seen the source material, it's just a lot of things happening without context. Like I said, why can't I teleport? Why does this guy only do stuff when I'm playing music from the record player? I'm not sure, but I think this is my least favorite world. In level 2, you're supposed to find these teleporting arrows in a bowling alley that only number 5 can use, and the attendant says they're in lane 2, which is apparently all the way to the right. I don't know about y'all, but I count in order from left to right. Well, if we can't count properly, at least we can keep all the font in the text box, or never mind. Academy level 4 is definitely the worst in terms of design. You have to kill these 2 giant bosses, and one is done by chasing a dude in circles around a hallway. It can't do any damage to them unless you teleport behind them in one specific corner, ping them in the back of their heads for a little bit of damage, and then repeat the process. It took me a while to figure this one out, so I was running in circles getting owned because in any other situation, teleporting into an enemy is probably a terrible idea. Level 5, you kill a samurai Funko, and then boom, we're on to Battlestar Galactica. I've never seen Battlestar Galactica, but I do know that Cylons are bad. They make that pretty obvious. It's so weird going from this realistic looking cityscape to the inside of the spacecraft that frankly looks a little unfinished. Like, if you look outside from the interior, it's like I'm looking at 2 completely different games. It's so shiny out here, and the inside's like a Fortnite creative map. Is this the real Battlestar Galactica?
Why don't we watch this Battlestar Galactica DVD I just got? Season 1.
All right, break time. Also, from the gameplay for my sake. I think I summarized the bulk of the stages pretty quickly, but legit, that was like 20 full recorded files of gameplay footage. It was a lot. If you're trying to get everything from the stages, they will legit take you like 30 to 45 minutes a pop, so, you know, hunker down. I decided that if co-op had actually been implemented, that now would be the perfect time to give it a try, see what it's all about. And since the multiplayer's invite only, for some reason, I recruited my editor to play with me. Joshy?
Hi.
Co-op? Well, it's something. Rather than having it fully integrated into your single player progress, multiplayer is actually a completely separate game mode with its own currency that you can get in order to purchase variant colors for your Funkos. Yeah, you want that black light color so you can hang it next to your own personal UV light that I'm sure we all have. Better play the same missions over and over in multiplayer. As you can see from the gameplay, this looks almost identical. In fact, there's no real way to tell where your co-op partner is. There's no outlines or radar. If you lose your friend, tough shit. And not to mention, if you aren't hosting, get ready for Lag City. Lag City. Friendly fire is always on, and there's no collectibles other than the currency coins, so the only real reason to play this is to, well, play the levels again, which I'm sure is something like 5 people are going to do, but not me. So, buddy, you're off the hook.
Oh, thank God.
Anyways, where were we? Battlestar Galactica. What's the finale of that show like? I bet it's nothing like this. In my head, this is Battlestar Galactica. And now we go deeper. I realize we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for things here, but for some reason in my notes I wrote a landfill theory joke because Hollow Earth and You Go Deeper Hole. I don't even think it was that late. Next up, Hot Fuzz. It still boggles the mind that Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz is represented here, meaning 3 films of his make an appearance in total. But also, how in the world do you make 5 levels of content worth of playing at a Hot Fuzz? It's just a comedy action flick about some British coppers checking out a weird town ran by a super cult. Well, the answer is speedrun the first hour of the movie in the first level and then make the rest of the stages a constant shootout. The Hot Fuzz section is the one that most closely resembles resembles an action video game, and it does a decent job of having all of the fun things from the film. Yes, including the incredibly violent scene at the church, just funkified.
Stand back, there's been a terrible accident.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that Funko Fusion is hyper violent or anything, but it's really hard to understand what the tone of the game they were trying to make here is. It's not difficult at all. The gameplay is clearly made with a younger audience in mind, but Hot Fuzz? I love this movie, but once again, who is this for? The final boss has us doing a shootout in the miniature model of the city where the head is still impaled, and then it's off to one of my favorite films of all time, Funko Fusion's John Carpenter's The Thing for PlayStation 5. Yep, it's The Thing. Oddly enough, they nailed the tone in this section. Some of the mechanics and the map have a lot of love thrown into it, and the crown puzzles have a little more effort. Despite taking place on a single map for all 5 stages, they used lighting and artificial gating to make them all feel different enough, and I can applaud the effort, even if the game started falling apart at the seams with text staying on the screen for an entire level. Things were all right, at least until we hit the final boss, The Thing himself, which actually might be one of the worst boss fights of all time. You gotta drag little fire canisters over to his location on the floor and then shoot them to get the purple orbs, but you're being constantly bombarded with enemies, random hits from the tentacles, and you're only getting like 4 to 6 orbs at a time despite your body swarming with them. Then the dude finally comes out of the ground and you have to wait ages for him to reveal his Eddie Thing head, shoot some orbs off, bring it back to the cylinder. It's only a couple at a time, and no joke, it took nearly 20 minutes to get through this fight. I thought I might have just been bad at it, but no, it looks like random Let's Plays were taking a similar amount of time. It's just poorly designed. I don't know how you design such a tedious boss fight in this tiny little arena, but guess what? It gets worse. Yeah, it actually gets worse. Now that we've gotten all the Funko crowns, every world's been solved, and it's off to save the day for real. We've almost reached the end, part 1, and it's time for the final showdown with Eddie Funko. We take control of a nearly restored Freddy to face our innermost fears and darkest thoughts. It's literally Persona 4, y'all. Eddie is Freddy's shadow, we're facing our true selves with a boss fight that took, and I'm not kidding, 30 minutes. 30 minutes of this. Exciting, isn't it? You basically have to fight an evil version of all the Funkos that helped you beat previous bosses, and you do so gauntlet style. Make sure to pick up power-ups and items that are coming to you on conveyor belts. Belts that didn't load, by the way. This thing is falling apart. Each stage of the fight has you picking up objects to do a mini puzzle to unlock the artificial walls in front of the boss, and then unloading your weapon for at least 3 minutes. And I could feel my soul leaving my body as I slowly blasted an invisible health bar down, dying several times and hoping there wasn't a collectible crown for the amount of vinyl earned. Eventually, after a struggle, the evil was defeated. Eddie and Freddy accept each other, Nevermore starts playing in my head, and we've hit credits. The credit sequence is well made, actually, and it shows some of the extra characters we'll be diving into here in a bit, because as you would expect, we've got an after credits stinger. Turns out Freddy isn't fully restored, and the Funko crown is still damaged from the beginning. There's 91 in total, so I guess we're off to the COLLECTAMINES. Because I just had to go for that platinum trophy. I wanted to see all that Funko Fusion had to offer, you know, to document it for science, I guess. We've seen all the main worlds, but every single stage has an additional cameo mission, as well as every world having a secret cameo level. And that translates to buckle up and replay every stage, kiddo. The cameo missions are as follows. Mega Man, unlocked in Scott World. He's sitting in a green aura and you have to bust him out, usually by placing a battery somewhere. Better hurry up because this dude looks like he's been holding a pee in for ages. Then you escort him to Rush while blasting away Mets, some of which will overwhelm you faster than you realize what's happening. Pretty basic, but at least some classic Rockman tunes are playing during each one. Just make sure not to get too close during normal stages while doing other stuff, or you'll get the music restarting over and over. I'm mega thankful for the assistant. And he's gone. In Battlestar Galactica, you unlock Voltron, a relatively simple fetch quest. Grab the trans-reality comet, bring it back to the chibi-sized powerful Go Lion, and he's gone. Umbrella Academy unlocks Knight Rider, where you're given a course to run through in order to beat Michael and Kit. Most characters are too slow, and you have to do it on foot, so Velociraptor it is. Hey, look, it's Xena Warrior Princess again, tucked away in the Masters of the Universe stage. Honor me by fighting by my side. She is not moving? I'm doing all the work here, Xena. What you doing? If you head over to the second level of the thing, you'll run into Mathrigan. Not Matugan or even Mawungan, Mathrigan. Hers are just the worst. She's completely invulnerable for an undetermined amount of time as she spin dances at you like in the movie, throws bombs and shoots guns. As you do higher level versions of these, she actually gets more powerful, and no joke, the final version of her took 11 minutes of mindlessly running around waiting for her to be vulnerable. And that is if she didn't get stuck on the environment. A running theme of Funko Fusion, wasting the player's time. And lastly, over in Hot Fuzz, we got Chucky. He just hides in objects and you gotta find them, shoot them, rinse, repeat till it gives you a proto part. The reward for all of these quests is the Cameo character's weapons and then being able to use them in regular gameplay. So if you want to unlock a Mega Man, you know what to do. They actually kept the sound effect in too. I don't know if I'll be able to take that sound for too long. You saw how long that Mathrigan fight was. Technically, the Jurassic World Cameo equivalent is the John Hammond quest that unlocks the Amber Fossils, another collectible you'll find in stages. Him, Foxo, and Colonel Sanders have things hidden in every single level, some of which obvious, others tucked away and requiring guides. Also, yeah, these collectibles make their way into the secret Cameo levels as well. So go back, hit that alternate exit, and voila, it's time for Shaun of the Dead. Technically the longest stage in the game, and also one with a point of no return, so if you fail to grab collectibles, you'll need to do it again. Like me. Just what the doctor ordered. Another escort mission. Play as Shaun or whoever you like and make sure the car reaches the end. There's no real reason for the stage to be in the game, by the way. It's not taken over by Eddie or anything. And in fact, at the end, you see the Funko versions of the cast throwing down in the pub set to Threshold again. And then we see David get devoured like in the film, except no one cares. Shaun and Ed clink glasses and whatever, I guess. Nothing happens, that's the end. Let's see, we also have Nope, like I mentioned earlier. In this, you set up a bunch of wacky waving inflatable tube men to call down the UFO, who then decides to do the Nope thing, and you gotta solve a bunch of minigames in 10 minutes to send it away. And I failed the first time because there's little to no conveyance on some of the things you're supposed to do. How about Invincible? You know, the super violent, what if Superman was evil image comic from the 2000s? Well, violence is there, I guess. Omni-Man and Invincible are fighting and wrecking havoc on the city, and you gotta try and help out by setting up cameras and opening doors to look through different cameras. And at the end, a different camera's UI gets stuck on the screen, just so you remember there's plenty of glitches still. Similar thing happened to me on the Back to the Future stage. You've gotta basically help Doc and Marty get the DeLorean running before you're out of time, but it turns out you can just pause the game and watch the timer go into the negatives. I think the best of the Cameo stages was probably The Mummy. First off, the Brendan Fraser 2000s film is super good and holds up. Second off, this has you solving puzzles in Imhotep's tomb using the environment and like fire physics for positioning. There's some effort here, although at the end you're faced with yet another long-winded boss fight whose phases are difficult to understand. Why do I have a gun if it won't work on him half the time? Did you know Jaws makes an appearance here? So do his victims. What in the world are we doing here, guys? Who is this game for? I had thought that it was gonna be for like a parent who wants their children to check out their nostalgia. Like, here, son, this is Suikoden 2. You can play the Fortnites once you're finished. But no, this is a little much for a child. Although, to be fair, I guess kids do love them some Five Nights at Freddy's, which happens to be the most unique and worst stage of the bunch. Taking inspiration from the source material, you actually have a camera system to pan through in order to find time tokens which advance the days. You'll see it pop up on the screen and then have to run over there in order to grab it. Rinse, repeat for several days straight. As days pass, it gets slightly more complex with different animatronics attacking you, but it's never more than running to a screen, spamming the shoulder buttons to find it, maybe plugging in a battery sometimes, and dodging Chica or Freddy Fazbear. Oh no, it's the canonical bite of 87. It's even a trophy? It's a neat idea that changes up Fusion's formula, but has surface level substance. And well, that's all of the extra stages. From this point, it's just slowly watching the completion percentage go up while snagging crowns and vinyl. I played a lot of Yuletide Freddy, which was a free DLC character, as one of the trophies requires 5 million vinyl, which was supposedly one of the toughest to get, but he gets way more from environment destruction, so numbers go go up. Some crowns are more of a pain than others. A lot of them require you to come back with another world's items, and by the time you have all of the collectibles, you won't actually have any use for them. Like, all right, I finally unlocked Xena Warrior Princess. I only had 2 stages left though, so I guess she'll stay wrapped in her packaging on the shelf. By the time I unlocked Colonel Sanders and got all of the characters, it felt like more of a, all right, I guess we're done now, as opposed to an accomplishment from the game. There's even a 100% collection ending cutscene which shows the crown restoring to normal, Freddy Funko's whole again, and a majority of the Funko cast dance to a little jingle. Looks like they gave up animating them towards the back. Ah yes, a character known for her extroversion and dancing, Kim Pine. It fades to black and then Foxo pops up clapping because you put them together, except it's real ominous. The only thing that potentially hinted at a sequel, one we're probably never gonna see, crash cut back to the lobby, and that's it. A little bonus freak out because I didn't have the platinum trophy, then quickly swapping between every character trying to get the final one for playing as all of the story characters, and then there we go. I've beaten Funko Fusion 100%. Uninstall. I'm not doing co-op, and neither should anyone. However, there is a tiny bit more. It's not a modern video game without downloadable content. That's right, it's time for the Warrington Wolves. I'm too American for this. A vast majority of what they've released for Fusion is just skins, little packs of characters from various franchises, with a lot of it being free. Kim Pine, Sun Wukong, Hazel and Cha-Cha, a couple of Back to the Future outfits, all free. There's also a couple of cheaper pieces of DLC that donate to charity, but you can also spend $9.99 on the Mega Man pack and get Dr. Wily and Proto Man. I did. On sale. Was it worth it? No. But I had to see if there was anything unique, and well, I guess not. Same old animations, same old Funko head shapes, just a pure $5 purchase I could have spent on something useful instead. Every set on Steam has them listed as in-game characters and or a variant, but there is one pack that comes with a special stage. No, it's not the Walking Dead pack that came free with my physical copy, it's The Office. Yeah, The Office. Revisit the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company with an episode called Emergency Preparedness as you try and figure out just what that nasty Dwight has done. This is hardly a level. You can run through the thing in like 10 minutes while taking notes and picking your nose, but it is packed to the brim with references to the show. Just every corner, every door, member berries for days. Then it just ends. That's it. 1010 Games has released DLC as recently as June this year with 2 Jurassic World Rebirth packs for that movie's release. Again, just skins, and based off of scrolling their socials and developer updates on top of the layoffs, I don't think we'll be getting much else of substance. Unless the idea of 3 Wicked movie packs gets you jonesing. Beyond that, literally a week ago when this video was almost done, 1010 released a physical version of Funko Fusion Deluxe Edition, the most complete release to date with a handful of DLC. It actually changes the main menu, and that's about it. And well, we're up to date on everything Funko Fusion. I actually feel bad for the developer in this situation, because you can totally see the shape of a decent video game. You see the veteran LEGO experience, and I think it would have gotten a little more praise had it not been Funko specifically. The IP soup worked for a time for LEGO Dimensions, and theoretically it could have worked here, but their selection of things was very 30 to 50-year-old coded, who I don't think we're gonna be the people picking this up, especially for their own children who'd probably want the latest Nintendo thing or Call of Duty. Funko Fusion is chock full of glitches, was even buggier at launch, and still nearly a year later, we've got stuff like recovery sodas glitching out and consuming 2 at a time. Consistently, we've got spelling mistakes, font not fitting into boxes, the performance on the Switch is miserable. And heck, they didn't even get a single DLC pack on that console out till months later. Anytime you finish a level, the music cuts in and out and loads you into the level and then back into the lobby. It's jarring. For everything it does decent or even well, it drops the ball in 2 other regards. I mean, shooting feels fine. Shooting the gun is acceptable. I like that the Masters of the Universe and Invincible Worlds put on a softer cell shaded filter. I think that some of the cutscenes are charming. But also, whoever decided that exiting a Cameo level early cancels it being unlocked completely needs a stern talking. Imagine finishing a level, unlocking a new one, and then losing it because you have to leave. No. At the end of the day, I guess I got a few takeaways about Funko Fusion. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. It's like a 5.5. That's 6 if I'm feeling generous. It's not offensive. It's playable, I guess. But for who? Who is this game for? And I've decided the best answer that I could come up with is the Funko Corporation themselves. They wanted this to happen, and so it did. That and the people still trading DLC codes on the subreddit. All in all, Funko Fusion was a video game, and I sure did 100% it. Play Balan Wonderworld instead. And so there you have it, Funko Fusion and all of the DLC beaten 100%. So you don't have to. I got nothing. I wanted to tackle this out of my own sheer curiosity, and what I've learned is that they should do it again, except with Mega Blocks. You could do Halo, Fallout, Pokemon, all in the same game. It's a 10 out of 10 idea, come on. If you like today's video, check out the sponsor, boot.dev, or if you wanna support us directly, head on over to the Patreon and become a backer. You can pick up a shirt over at the Pixel Empire, leave a comment, a subscription, and do the things to make more of these videos come. What 100% deep dive should I do next? Let me know down below, and yes, we're likely gonna be doing Anthem. Anyways, I'm gonna head out for now. I've been Austin, and I'll catch you guys next time when we talk about games that did a little shake up. Thank you all so much for watching. Special Patreon shout out to Benna Oswald, Blackfoot Ferret, Blake Thomas, Cheeks, Clark Fox, Chris Shelton, DX Buster, Dylan Snyder, Fragile Traveler, Hey Quiggles, Jay Roos, Jacoby Fitzpatrick, Kevin Zanowski, Nocturnal Nix, Pierre, Platinum Rose, Pacha Bear, Rare Find It, Ryan Siri, and Vox. Thank you all so much for your generous support. This one took a while. Most of it was because I was scared of it, but it wasn't really that scary. I do have more deep dives on the horizon. I want to hear from y'all. There's too many video games to cover. A lot of them have been covered, so I'm gonna try to cover more things that mean a lot to me. For now, I'm going to go take a nap because I went to Gamescom and I'm tired.